Cast your mind back 2¼ centuries to an evening on December 17th, 1799. You'll have to imagine Grimsby back then, just a small, scattered settlement thick with forests, with a few dirt roads winding and wending through the wilderness. It was a time when communities were just beginning to take shape, and among the early settlers were 8 pioneers who had a vision, not just for a town, but for something greater. They gathered at John Foot's Red Tavern, a local landmark at the 40 Mile Creek, and that night, Union Lodge No. 7 was officially born. Technically at the time, it was just Lodge No. 15, but more on that later. The lodge was officially recognized under a warrant from the Grand Lodge of England, making it one of the oldest in Upper Canada. When they first met, they weren't just a group of gentlemen gathering around with grand ideas. They had serious leadership represented in the room, including Right Worshipful Brother Sylvester Tiffany, who led the meeting, and Colonel Robert Nels, a well-respected community leader, who was installed as our first worshipful master. Joining him were Jonathan Wolverton as senior warden, Alan Nixon as junior warden, and John Foote as secretary. The first meeting was very formal and well documented, and they settled the bill for the evening at exactly £6.11. That's some transparency. Just a mere 10 days later, on December 27, 1799, the lodge met again, and this time for a very important decision. They needed a name. The motion was made, seconded, and just to be absolutely certain, thirded. And with that, Union Lodge was unanimously chosen. There was no specific record of why they picked that name, but one thing is clear. It was about brotherhood, unity, and standing together. And here we are, 225 years later, still living up to that name. In those early days, Union Lodge didn't have a permanent home. They met at Foot's Red Tavern, which, if you're looking for a modern reference, would have been around where the Pro Oil Change and garage now stand on Main Street East. Eventually, they moved to Brother Jacob Nell's Inn, another well-known gathering place. Speaking of making history, the first 4 men to be initiated into Union Lodge were John Pettit, David Wilcox, Henry Hicks, and William Harrington on February 6, 1800. Back then, the cost of initiation wasn't in dollars as we know them today, it was in Spanish dollars or pieces of 8. You needed 5 Spanish dollars to get started, 3 more for the second degree, and an additional 3 for the third degree. These men weren't just joining a lodge, they were helping fund its very foundation, and in May of 1800, after initiating a few new members, the lodge was finally able to start repaying the founding members who advanced the funds themselves to help get things off the ground. Of course, history isn't always marked by smooth sailing. So during the War of 1812, the lodge had to pause operations as battles raged through Upper Canada. Lodge valuables, including its jewels, warrant, and various records, were secretly stored away. Legend has it they were hidden by the Kitchen family to keep them safe during the war. Meanwhile, Worshipful Master Robert Nels was leading men into battle at Queenston Heights and Lundy's Lane, fighting for the very land on which we stand today. Fast forward to 1920, and the lodge found a more permanent home in the Temple building, built by Brother James Ray. And in an interesting twist, while Masonic business was happening upstairs, Ray ran a hardware store downstairs, so while folks were coming in to buy nails and paint, the brethren were gathering above to continue a tradition that had already stood for 120 years. Then in 1924, Union Lodge No. 7 made history again. Born in 1866, William John Drope wasn't just a Mason. He was an educator, a scholar, and a community leader who spent years shaping young minds as the headmaster of Lake Lodge School, where he was renowned for his wisdom, discipline, and unwavering dedication to learning. But his true calling was in Freemasonry. In 1923, he was elected Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Canada in the province of Ontario, serving 2 consecutive terms until 1925. He was the first Grand Master to come from Union Lodge No. 7, and to this day remains the only one, and his leadership left a lasting mark, not just here, but across the entire province. Now, just when you thought Union Lodge No. 7's legacy was all about building communities and shaping leaders, let's throw some good Canadian hockey into the mix. Marvin Cyclone Wentworth was a proud member of Union Lodge and took his talents to the NHL from 1927 to 1940, where he suited up for the Chicago Blackhawks, the Montreal Maroons, as well as the Montreal Canadiens. A Stanley Cup champion in 1935, Wentworth was a model of defensive efficiency on the blue line. So not only were Union Lodge members leaders in Freemasonry and community building, they were also making history on the ice. Throughout its history, Union Lodge has faced numerous challenges, but none quite like the fire of January 8, 1997. Late that afternoon, a devastating fire broke out at 33 Main Street West, the home of Union Lodge No. 7. Firefighters were on the scene within minutes, but the flames were relentless, consuming everything in their path. After the fire was extinguished, Lodge members worked tirelessly, sifting through the wreckage in search of anything that had survived, and against all odds, several historic artifacts were recovered from the ashes, including the door knockers, senior warden's gavel, square and compass from the Bible, the secretary's desk, the warden's columns, and a tracing board. With indefatigable determination, the brethren came together to rebuild and restore the lodge to its full potential, ensuring that Union Lodge No. 7 would not only endure, but thrive. Union Lodge No. 7 isn't just about the past. It's about legacy, brotherhood, and the values that have carried us for more than 225 years. If you need any proof of just how deeply this lodge is woven into Grimsby's history, simply take a walk past Nell's Manor. Look at the Red Tavern's old site, or think of the men who gathered here long before us. The legacy is still here. We are that legacy today. So as we celebrate this incredible milestone, let's raise a glass, or at least a friendly nod, to William and Robert Nells, William Drope, Cyclone Wentworth, and in more recent past, very worshipful brothers Howard Walters and Leon Betzner. To the brethren who came before us and to the next generation who will carry Union Lodge No. 7 into the future, here's to 225 years and counting.